We are honored tonight. Joining us is the daughter of Richard J. Slattery, Susan Slattery, Branstetter, and her husband Doug. Slattery Trueblood Professional Award is the highest award of the Iowa Park and Recreation Association and is presented annually to a person in recognition of outstanding, dedicated, and unselfish service to the profession. This year's recipient is a person who is described as visionary, dedicated, versatile, and outside-of-the-box thinker, fun-loving, family, and people-oriented, and someone with integrity and determination who has the ability to envision the future, communicate that vision to staff and citizens, and follow through to make it happen. Setting a standard of excellence for everything that their department does, this person has worked tirelessly to engage both public and private organizations and individuals in the development of an exemplary park and recreation system. Working as a professional in the parks and recreation field since 1978, this person has had much involvement in both national and state park and recreation associations, serving as chairperson of a number of committees for IPRA, recreational sports, ways and means, scholarship, conference planning, and the community section. He's also attended and been a graduate of NRPA Park Planning and Maintenance School, Sports Management School, attended Revenue Source Management School. This person was awarded the IPRA Outstanding Young Professional Award in 1980 and was nominated for the National Gold Medal Award of Excellence in Parks and Recreation in both Nevada, Iowa, and Battle Creek, Michigan. His contributions to the Parks and Recreation field are many, but to mention a few include having served as the state director for Hershey Youth Track and Field Program, serving on the executive committee of the Iowa Amateur Softball Association, and serving on the NRPA Liaison Committee to the United States Olympic Movement. He is the founder and member of the Des Moines Park and Recreation Foundation. From Terry Rich, CEO of Iowa's Blank Park Zoo, I quote, "His even-tempered, professional approach to projects make him one of the most successful and respected public leaders with which I've worked. He is an innovator, fair to all, and has a real appreciation of cooperation between parties." The 2011 IPRA Slattery Trueblood Professional Award winner is Director of Des Moines Parks and Recreation Department, Mr. Donald M. Tripp.
Well, so much for any preparation. I first of all, I want to thank Iowa Park and Recreation, the awards committee, and those in our agency that nominated me for this. I want to recognize some folks here this evening, and I please ask you to bear with me. This is a pinnacle of a long career. 1980 Young Professional Award. Half of this room weren't born then. But I have several colleagues who made the trek from Des Moines here, and I'd like them to stand up at the back. Kevin Moran, who's our park manager, and Kirk Robinson, who manages buildings and all things that move and are mechanical. Marlene Anderson, who's our communications manager and my confidant at varying levels. And City Council member Chris Coleman. Chris is an elected person who supervises the man that I report to, but He is a mentor and a friend. And for those of you who have been in this business for a while, you know it's nice to have an elected leader have your back once in a while. This is that guy right there that has our back. And I appreciate very much the fact that you're here this evening and my colleagues are here. There are some folks in the room that over the years I've worked with, and I'm probably going to forget some people, but Terry Hoffman, who's been a friend of mine from when we were in college together at Iowa State, and we worked together and has been a great companion. Jody Weeks worked in the Park and Recreation Department in Des Moines, is now in West Des Moines. And Matt Salvatore was an intern with us. Mindy Harklaw, I guess O'Hearn now, I worked with as an intern when she was in Des Moines, and certainly others. Not the least of which is your outgoing president. Ben Page came to me a couple years ago, now 2.5 or so after we hired him, and he came to Des Moines. He said, I've been elected to be president of Iowa Park and Recreation. Would it be okay if I did that? And I probably should have said to him at the time, Ben, no, it wouldn't be okay. But certainly I had been elected to that job previously, and I knew what an important role it was. What I failed to tell Ben was that he probably wasn't going to have time to be able to do both effectively. I'm not quite sure how he did it, but Ben Page in our agency, I have to tell you folks, has taken on a load of responsibility in the last 2 years that is unparalleled. We've had significant retirements. Ben's been a guy that's taken things on that probably were even unfair to ask of him, but he did it. Another person that's here is your executive director, and I've got some great stories about Steve, but Steve and I do go back an awful long ways. Steve was a tremendous employee of mine when I was a young guy, and he wasn't much younger than me, actually. And I'll take some credit for convincing Steve that this is the business he ought to be in when he was a basketball official for us and a referee in other sports and as an umpire. So I want to thank all those folks that are here. And I want to mention just really briefly that my career has spanned a lot of different locations, and I've had a number of different mentors. And I'd like to, although none of them are here tonight, please bear with me, I'd like to mention them. I started in this business working in Fort Dodge, as many of the rest of you, it sounds like. And the person who convinced me that this was would be a good fit for me and inspired me and set the bar to work ethic and to professionalism and to passion for this business was Tony Salvatore. And I want to thank Tony, and I hope, Matt, you'll tell him I mentioned him this evening. Darlene Pollison was a person that Terry and I both know that was our city clerk in Nevada, Iowa. Darlene taught me at a really young age that it wasn't a good idea to keep money in a shoebox, and that government documents were important. And at 20 or 21 years of age, when I look back on it, it might have been the best advice I ever got. Slattery Trueblood for this award is named. Terry was a man, if you didn't know him, I want to tell you just something about him in one story. I was the director in Nevada, and I offered to do an educational session one year, and I did the session. I didn't really know anybody from IPRA, and Terry was a guy that came up to me afterwards and shook my hand and told me what a great job I did. I don't know if I did a great job, but Terry went out of his way to make me feel welcome. I think that's why we loved him so much, and why his name is on this award. Joe Stevens, our director in Ames, was a mentor of mine who showed us daily examples of professionalism. Rance Leaders and Merrill Stanley in Battle Creek, who taught me that it was important to both be a good administrator, but you had to have vision. Being a director was more than being an administrator. They both taught me that it was important to have vision for what you wanted to do. Jim Grant, who was a community development director in Des Moines, taught me at 34 years old how to be director in a department in Iowa's capital city, and that core values were the most important thing. Eric Anderson was a city manager that I worked under, and Eric helped me at a time when I had some personal issues in my life and supported me. And he taught me also that it was possible, in fact, to do more with less. Jim County, a friend also of Chris Coleman's, very generous human being who did a lot of things that I get to take credit for and our staff takes credit for today, but wouldn't have happened without him raising and giving millions millions of dollars in showing us that some of the most wealthy people in the world have the biggest hearts. Rick Clark, who I wish could have been here this evening, and I hope that all will pass this along to him. And I will, because Rick is one of my best friends in the world. He's my boss and the city manager. What a better situation could a person have? He's had my back on so many occasions when he probably shouldn't have, frankly, but he's protected me from myself on times, but he's been that guy, that city manager that you always dream about, that loves what we do. And finally, my family, who some of which are here tonight, surprisingly. My oldest son, Derek, who's here. Number 2 son, Brandon, who's back in Colorado. Number 3 son, Tyler, who lives in Des Moines, down the street. And my daughter, Emily. Stepchildren, Ellen, Ashley, and Ben O'Donnell. The reason, when it's really tough, when things are bad, when you wonder if you've made the right decision, and you have lots of responsibilities, you get up every morning and you go to work, and you say, I'm going to do the best I can because people count on me. And they're there to support you no matter how dumb you sound and how bad a job you've done on occasion, and how you've maybe gotten priorities out of balance at times. And my wife, Mary Ellen, who is the absolute most wonderful person in the world, who has supported me and watches city council meetings and calls me to remind me how humorous some of it really is. And I have to mention my children's mother, my ex-wife, Christy, who was a really wonderful wife in supporting my career. And those are all people that made this important to me, and it's the reason I've done it. And the last thing I'll say, it's really dedicated towards some of the younger folks in the room. It may be one of those times where you have a chance to impart something. And I'm going to tell you this much. When it all comes right down to it, you have to make decisions every day. And you can't, there's no book for this business. You have to have some core principles in mind. And I've lived with these core principles. I've tried to follow them. And these are things that we talk about all the time. Loyalty, honesty, and integrity. Be loyal to the people that you work with. Be loyal to the people you work for. They're counting on you to be that way. Be honest. Even when it's the most difficult and you've made the biggest mistake, people love people who are honest about what they've done. And live with high integrity. If your mother would approve of it, it's probably okay. And on that note, my deceased parents, Harry and Rose Tripp, farmers from Northwest Iowa, would be really proud. And I want to thank you.
Sorry, I just, a few weeks ago I asked Ben to kind of let us know about all this, and just asked him, maybe I could say a few words. Got a few emails back from Ben. He said he couldn't wait for the speech, so it's not going to be a speech. I just want to tell my dad on behalf of the family how proud we are of him. Obviously being a professional myself with the Colorado Association, he's been a major role model of mine, so I just want to say thank you to the association, and congratulations, Dad. Thanks.